All right. So I get a question, especially from the more advanced users that's really taken full advantage of the different functions. And one of the questions that comes up most often, especially at the advanced level, will say, you create a report with a bunch of breaks, but you also taught us how to create master detail or section reports, where I put the break value as a header and then the details on multiple rows and into a little separate master detail block, and it repeats that block for every unique value for the primary one in the master section of it. They said, so why should I use one over the other? What's the difference? What are the advantages or disadvantages of it? So what I put together here is, and it's a nice detailed handout. In any of these, if you do email, if you need a 4.3 rather than a 4.2 version, I do have these available in both flavors. So just to let you know as well. All right. So let's take the report that we had up there, and I wanted to apply a simple break on it. So let's go back in real quick. The analysis toolbar, again, is the most important toolbar across the top. It's got all your major things I consider filtering, grouping, breaking, sorting. The most important ones hidden underneath under functions are your sum, count, average, min, max, and so on. And of course, conditional formatting hidden behind, okay? So we know when we do a break, there's certain advantages. When I do a break into a report, okay, it automatically breaks it out for me, okay, based on the primary value, in this case, state. Then the subsequent dimensions and details or measures that fall into the report fall in there uniquely for California. What are some things the break does automatically? It puts the header in, it puts a footer in, and now we get automatic subtotals because we're invoking a break automatic. I don't have it in here for time's sake, but if I put quarter in there, I could have gone to the quarter column, done a break on the second column as well, okay? Then I have a 2-level break with different sets of subtotals on the bottom. And you can manipulate those. Maybe you want, if I had year and quarter, I only wanted subtotals at the quarter level, not at the year. So you have ways of controlling that, and it's outlined in the handout in more detail. Let's try to keep us on schedule for that as well, okay? Footers there, we know that we have a feature called Manage Breaks. It comes along for the ride. That provides some nice advantages. They said, well, let's do that, let's manage. And things like value-based break we talked about, merging the cell on the left edge across the middle of the group, starting on a new page. Those are all neat functions that I can do. I can add a second break from inside here if I had any available additional dimensions. It really doesn't make sense right now because I have 2 dimensions. You need 3 or more for that to work as well. But look at all the different things that you can do automatically with a break, okay? So, but now I want to be able to look at it in a different format. I said, well, wouldn't it be nice if I could look at it in a more hierarchical approach, hierarchical view from high-low, where I look at state and then the data sits below it, kind of a little different way of looking at it. We could do that, what we call a master detail. So what I'll do is, let me go down to the bottom here. I'm going to duplicate the report tab. There it is. Why don't I click on this? Let me rename the report tabs, because I want to have a nice name for it. So it's called Master Detail. The title changed along with it. It's one of those built-in functions that was added in it's in the 4.2 world. Little things like that you don't know why they happen, but they do. Well, there you go. Okay. So what I want to do instead on this one is I said, well, wait a minute, let's look at this differently. Let's get rid of the break. So in effect, you can almost think of this when you create a master detail. It's like the master cell that you pull out. It's like instead of doing a break, you make it a master cell and drop it up on top. And it still does the breakout function, but a little different way. So let's talk about what we mean by that. I want to grab state and I want to drop it up here. Then I want to have my first state, and right below it, the 4 years. Then my second state, the 4 years, but in a master detail type mode. So there's a master or a header record sitting on top. So a couple ways to do that. I don't recommend certain ones. The one everybody always likes to do, which I don't recommend, is right click on that column and do a set as section. That will make it a section and pull it out for you automatically. The problem is, you don't know where it's going to drop it over here. You might put it up high, low, or in the middle. And as you've learned, they can move master cells. It's part of a master detail block, but it's real finicky. So you want to be careful to minimize having to do that, okay? So I could insert a new one. If state wasn't in the report, it was over here on the left, and I didn't have it out of here, I can't pull it in. So you could have gone up here to the report elements. Remember, the report elements tab means you're starting to play with inserting new blocks, not converting anything. Okay, as you work your way across, it's got a section option up here. And if I click on insert section, that little, the old piece of gum stuck to your shoe syndrome pops up, your little plus arrow, and you could drop it in here, the state, and it would pull it out that way. I want to control it. I want it easy. I don't have to worry about it. So I grab my state, I pull it up, I move over to the edge, and I said, well, I don't want it too high. I might add a subtitle later, and I need a little more room. I'll drop it there, and automatically pops the state up into the master section. You've got to be careful that you're not too close to the title area and as well. Now, notice when I pulled it out, let's talk about that for a second. I did not pull it from the title area. Anybody that's been through my training knows something I always tell people, stay out of the titles. Titles are for formatting. Titles are to be formatted. You don't want to be pulling things out at the title level. As a classic example, what if I want to take quantity sold out of here? So I pull it out, but it came back and said, you want to remove the row or the column. You're looking at it going, what are you talking about? You didn't do that before. You know why? Because I dragged from the body of the column and not from the title area. So little things like that can be really frustrating, but look what we're able to do. And it created 8 states for us, 8 master detail blocks of data that you see right there. That's pretty cool. Now, we didn't get our subtotals, so we have to do that. I want these on my detail report down below. So I'm going to go up here to the, get to my analysis tab first. Should have done that. And let's go over to our calculations and let's stick a sum in there. Okay. And we'll do another sum in there. Okay. So by me pulling the state out, it's almost like doing a break in a traditional vertical table type of report that you saw as well. So there you go. He said, well, that's interesting. So it's a different way of looking at things. Yeah. Why don't we take the state, let's border it, make it stand out. If I'm doing this master detail concept, it's nice to have a visual to help me. So I could go up on top here and I could go up under formatting and we'll go over to the borders and we'll put a line around it. We'll do a medium thick block around it. And lo and behold, there you go. Now I've got a master detail report. Okay. Makes it really, really cool. So it can be more than one level. For demonstration's sake, I'm not doing that. I have an example I do in our training class. It's awesome. We do state up and year up here and quarter at the report level. So it's a multi-level master cell. And there's too many parts for me to cover for you. So I want to make it a little bit easier for you as well. So here's some of the hidden advantages. Now it sits above this. So this could be a patient report or a customer report with the customer detail underneath it, but you put it above instead of in the columns on the left side to give us more flexibility with it, as you see there. So one of the obvious things as you look at it, you say, well, wait a minute. Wouldn't it be nice if I could have the totals for California here and here instead of below here or in addition to what's there already? So as I read visually down into my report, I'd like to see the section totals here. And if I want to look down at the bottom, even though they're the same values, I could do that as well. We can do that. Let's show you how. We go to the left side, we grab sales revenue, we pull it in. Be careful, if you see the blue, it's telling it's going to overlay it. Not what I'm looking for, okay? You pull it over to the right a little bit, right about here. It's going to overflow. We all know currency, they never made big enough in the default size that it comes up with. Let's push that up there, right? Now there's no label up here. Obviously there isn't. I lined it up over the top of the column in the report. Yes, if you wanted to, we could allow a little more room in the title area above the section here, and we could have put a label in there, sales revenue, and another label for quantity sold. You can do those kind of things to spruce it up as well, okay? Why did I not pull the sales revenue from here up into here? Oh, I could have, and it would have removed it from the report block. Still the same old stuff goes on when you're dealing with, your report blocks. If you drag something out, it's going to remove it. Doesn't matter what you're doing with it. So we got to go back to the left side and grab quantity sold again. Pull that one in. Drag that into place right next to the first one. Okay. And squeeze it down a little bit. You want it to look halfway nice. Okay. And now we've got a nice, here's my state, here's my sales revenue, here's my quantity sold. A little hard to read, but let's stretch it out a little bit. You can do some aligning if you want. Normally what I do is for the master section, I grab all the cells going across. And if you right click, there's an align feature that pops up near the bottom of the window down here. And you have to go to the second. You can't do it. You do not want to allow left, center, or right. You want to allow top, bottom, or middle. Align them in the middle. And it will balance those 3 across the row that way. And you can, do it all the way through. Now, notice every time we make a change to the detailed section or the master section, it doesn't change just this. It changes the whole thing all automatically for us. Boy, does that make it nice. Now, what if I come back to you and I said, well, listen, I got a question for you. Can you tell me what Texas numbers are? They said, Texas, Texas. Let me scroll. Where is it? Let me scroll down here. Oh, there it is. All right. But I had to scroll all the way down to the bottom. What if I had all 50 states in there? I want to go down to Texas. So you end up using the scroll bar, and then you use the page numbers, and you go totally insane trying to figure out, how do I know how far to go in the scroll bar at the time when I'm messing with the page numbers to try to get even near where I want to go? Well, guess what? Webby had that taken care of a long time ago. On the left side over here, you'll notice. And by the way, all of this stuff you hear is now over here on the right, 4.3. Just give me a kind of a warning. Okay. And there's a nice one up here that you'll see called Navigation Map. This was built for dealing with master detail reports. And what it does, for every master detail or section report you have, it creates a value coming down your hierarchical tree. And what do you do with it? You use it to search. I said, well, I want a Texas. Let me go right to Texas. Let me go to Massachusetts. Let me go to Florida. Let me jump to Colorado. Let me go back to the top up here. And if I had done year underneath state and made this quarterly, you'd have it 2 levels. You'd have state and then years under each one. And you could scroll all the way down to the bottom or all the way up to the top and search it through. And I've had many customers that said, I chose to use this for my report rather than the vertical table with breaks. And there's one reason right there. I have this built-in feature, the navigation map, that I can use to move myself around. And again, if there were 50 states in there, there'd be 50 master detail entries scattered somewhere on the pages, and you're going to try to find it. It doesn't make sense to do that. And by the way, if you export this to PDF, this is really cool, really cool. It will convert this into PDF format. Hopefully you spruced it up and did some other nice things with it as well. And it says, well, while I'm doing that, I'm going to bring the old map tab along as a bookmark. So you get it open up in PDF, open up your bookmark tab on there, and lo and behold, it carries it all the way across. That's interesting little twist of things. But that's some of the advantages you get when you work at that particular way. Now, some other advantages as well. One of the things that you can do is let's look at the detail report and look at the values at the state level. Here's 9.1 for California, 2.5, 3.6, 2.8. They're all 2 to 3 million, 1.5 million, and then Texas and New York. So Texas and New York are over 9 million, along with California. They're all over 9 million. All the other ones are 1 to 2 to 3 million. Okay, let me get that auto fit. It's a little finicky sometimes, as you can see. Well, if you can't get a column to auto fit, what I do is I right click and I go to Format Cell. When all else fails, they said, Webby, I'll beat you at your game, so don't try. I set it there for the column, and it usually straightens out all of the overflows. Well, it did for the columns there. Yeah, I forgot, you got to do the subtotal block separate. So we're good to go for that one right now. So here's the deal. As you look at it, and you said, you know what? I don't want to see those states that are greater than 9 million. I don't want to see California. I don't want to see New York. I don't want to see Texas. They're doing great. Okay. I just want to have the summary level here, and I want to get rid of the stuff below it. I said, well, wait a minute. Can I do that? Yeah. So let's show you the conditional hide functionality. This would be format table. I want to take the whole block, go to format table, because I'm doing it at the table level. And up comes the standard format table window, very important window. General and appearance and layout are the ones you use most often, a little bit with borders as well. And they have a series of hide options. I've never quite figured out the hide always, but there must be a good reason for it. If you're always hiding it, why did you put it in? But I'm sure there's some very good reasons for that. And you said, well, I want to hide when the following is true. I want to hide the block if sales revenue is greater than 9 million. So well, let's try that. We click over here. Okay. We said, okay, let's use the formula editor here. And the hide logic is pretty much the same. What we want to do is we want to put in sales revenue greater than, let me do the greater than 9 million, 9, 1, 2, 3, and a 1, 2, 3. I could have done greater than or equal to, but we should be good there. Just define what expression. Okay, it's because it's in the detail section out there. It's picking up the summary value for it. And notice the moment I came back, look at California. The detail block's hidden, but not the next series. Then I get down to the bottom, and there's New York and Texas, but no detail. Now, as you see, another advantage of a master detail report, to be able to selectively hide certain parts of it. Very easy to do here. You're viewing it more in a hierarchical way, but you can hide those things as well. Okay. Now, if they had all hidden, we'd have an interesting problem, because if you click over in the area where they're hidden, there's no way to reactivate it. So if you ever run into a problem where you do this and all the values are hidden here, and there's no way to get rid of it, if you go to design structure mode up here, okay, oh, I want to design. Structure only would give you a structural view. You could right click on this block to open up the window change that way, and it would work for you that way. So that's available. I've had that happen before to me. All right. So you normally just do it on one of the remaining ones that are there. It's a format table, so you have to go back to format table. And then we'll uncheck it. For you old long-termers, I should say, like me, that've been around a while, in the old desktop, when you did this and you uncheck it, it would keep this out there grayed out, but it would keep it for history's sake. So you could come back later on and maybe turn it back in or turn it back on, but not have to remember how you did it. Ain't gonna happen here. When we do an okay, it's gonna say, bye-bye, we're out of here, see you later, okay? So lo and behold, there's our master detail with the detail, our section totals next to it, and so on. We now realize another advantage was having the map tab to come along as well. It's much easier to do the type of hiding that you want to take the correct values out. You could hide these out. It gets a little tricky. There's some interesting issues we've had with that before, but it wouldn't make sense to me that if you're going to get rid of the detail, you'd still want the summary. So you want the state level one to be in there as part of it, but you have that choice as well. So now we see there's some other little bonuses we get with it as well. So by doing it in a master detail format, you can actually sort the report based on that. If you create a local variable, I have a handout where I show you how to rank and how to sort and so on. I've actually done a part of it in other presentations, but you could actually sort the states based on the individual subtotal value. So good old context operators enter, and it's a very simple thing, but that can be done as part of it as well. So I'm trying to check my time. I think I'm pretty much on schedule, or am I, Lucy? Just making sure. I don't want to run it too long. I think I'm pretty close to.
Yeah, we're pretty close. We can, if there are any questions, we can go over those.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure they allow some question and answer time.
Okay.
So you got to see both of them. The first report was your basic vertical table where we showed you breaks, managing breaks and things there that you could do. Grouping would just be a secondary part of it. And then the master detail, we created reports off the same data, totally different way of distributing it, totally different way of analyzing it, giving the users quite an interesting way of looking at things. It could be a patient information or a customer with detailed information. Could be orders, endless possibilities, but really cool stuff you can do. Questions? Must be some good questions out there.
Yeah, we have a comment from Celine Baker and saying that very helpful tips here. Thank you. Yes, Michael is one of our star presenters and he always have pretty interesting topics here.
Thank you.
Paul, do we have any questions from you?
No, there's nothing in the Q&A, so we're good.
They covered it all adequately, huh? Remember, if they want a copy of the presentations, just have them drop me an email, and I'd be happy. And let me know if you want 4.2 or 4.3. So Paul has alerted us all to it. We've got to be thinking 4.3, and same thing for me and my organization as well. So I knew that any of these presentations, the more we can do in both 4.2 and 4.3, the better for you. Make your transition easier. So
yes, definitely. All right, well, thank you so much again, Michael. We always love to see you presenting.